Hey everyone, so this is a video of a teardown, setup and teardown of a Gorilla 28-foot bounce house with slide combo. These are the items that I've found that work for us to set it up. Video is going to be mainly centered around folks that are interested in renting this unit out, just so that they can get familiar with setup and teardown if they're going to decide to do it for themselves, or mainly for the people that are going to be involved with setting up and tearing this down. So this video in particular is just going to be of tearing it down, but you can safely assume that doing the opposite will get you set up. It's pretty easy to set up, a little bit more difficult to tear down. So anyways, items that come with it: bounce house straps, bounce house tightly packed up like you'll see in the video, straps, larger dolly. There's a plate on the bottom of plywood that's used to increase the surface area, and also used for outside the fan to keep debris from flowing in when the fan's on. So second item is the fan. Third item, the bin with stakes in it. There's 3 different kinds of stakes. These large stakes obviously will go to the bounce house itself on the D-rings. These medium-sized stakes are for the under tarp as well as the rain tarp. Any areas that are not going to come into contact with the bounce house that would put pressure on the top. These littler stakes can go kind of anywhere, and these ones you primarily want to use wherever the kids are running. They're more flush to the ground. All the supplies like the stakes, straps, so on and so forth will be within this bin. This bin has I believe it's 20 by 20 foot, or 25 by 16 foot gray tarp, as well as a 16 foot by 12 foot, or one larger, one smaller tarp. You'll see on the video of how they kind of sit on the ground. There's the larger one goes over the bounce portion, smaller one goes the slide extension portion. 2 rugs. This one I've been putting by where the kids will get off on the side with the door to the bounce house and exit from the slide. And this one I put in front of the actual bounce house area where they climb up and in. The blue tarp is the rain tarp. You can stake it down at the back side of the bounce house, which would be like the bouncing area, and then at night kind of run it over as needed, but it should be covered up at night. It keeps the dew and everything else off of it. When you do unpack it or pack it up, there are small areas where there's going to be obviously little residual water. We want to keep it as dry as we can, but there's a certain amount of water that you can always kind of account for from dew and it being outside, but the tarps help with that. The lower side here is always, the base of the dolly is always going to face where the exit of the bounce house is, where the entrance and exit is, I should say, or the foot slide that kind of rolls out where people would climb on and off. And you're always going to roll it from the largest section of the bounce house down to the slide. The slide will be the last thing that rolls out. And obviously in this video, it's going to be the first thing that you roll up to put away. So that's the basic supplies that you need. And then the rest of the video will be me actually, before this time, breaking it down. And that should give everyone a pretty good idea as far as what goes into it. So there's a couple key points. One, making sure that this is rolled up really tight. It's about 6 feet right now, but it's got to be about 6 feet so that 1 or 2 individuals are able to grab the handle on the back and lift it up, basically. And it's a pretty heavy unit, so it's a 2-person job would be preferred. 1 person can do it, but it takes a lot of thought and a little bit of muscle. So, but yeah, this is basically everything that you need. I'll put the rest of the video in front of this, or excuse me, after this. And yeah, should be a pretty good setup. Thanks. All the way down on top of your tarp. Mind you have to stake the tarp out first. This rug goes in front of the exit point. This rug will go in front of the entrance point. There might be different rugs in the future. I don't know. These ones have been working for now. We need at least 4 stake out points for these larger D-loops and large stakes. There'll be a hammer included to stake those out. Here's the type of stake to use for the tarp. There's also one other type of stake for high traffic areas you don't want to stub your toe on. This is an exhaust area, so when you take it fully down, you need to take it down and get all the air out of it, and relatively quickly, like when you're tearing it down. Open that up, let it drain all the way out. It'll get flatter than it will if you don't open it. There's one on the opposite end as well. The blower system is set up straight in, don't have it at a curve. Notice the board in front so nothing gets sucked up into it. You'll have to provide your own extension cords. Again, larger tarp staked down first, smaller one off where the slide landing is. And that's the general setup. If you get that set up right, it should be pretty good. For teardown and disassembly, if you had the rain tarp on, I have it over there drying out. You'll take that off first in somewhat of a planned fashion to try to keep the water off of it. I usually use a broom towel, old towel, and shop vac. The best way that I've found is to start on the far side and bring any debris in the cracks when you're in there, kind of with your broom to the front side, and then vacuuming it up from there. The slide's pretty easy and self-explanatory. To deflate, once you have her kind of cleaned up the way you want, there's a vent on this side and a vent on the far end. You turn off the blower, and I've found that if you try to put a little bit of kind of inward force on the pillars and kind of get them to fall in on themselves is the best way to flatten it out. I'll then hopefully get another video. I'll just walk back and forth on it. Best to do with some soft shoes, but getting all the air out is important and getting it rolled tightly. So at this point I have the blower off and disconnected. Both ends of the zippers are open on either end of the bounce house. And I've just walked on it one time so far. I have like tennis shoes on or something that's flat. I guess nothing that's doing anything that's too aggressive. But you kind of go down each side, walk the air out. You want to get it as flat as possible. The trickiest thing is getting this thing tightly rolled. Is a real pain in the ass. So the more time you can take just kind of walking up and down, getting it flattened out right now, the better. You kind of will find a pattern that works best, but rolling it and getting it rolled tight will greatly depend on how much air you get out now. So keep that in mind. At this point, you just try to get it as rolled as snugly as you can at the beginning. How you start definitely is going to predict how you finish. Get most of the air out of it, fold it into, I guess, 3/4 or what is it, thirds. Fold it into thirds. Each side gets folded once with your exit, I guess, ramp folded in as well. You roll it from slide end in with, again, pockets open. I try to towel it a little bit along the way, but you try to kind of roll it over once, put your knee into it, roll it over, sit on it, so on and so forth, smooth some of the air out of it. But just take your time. It'll end up tightening up pretty nice if you plan it properly. All right, so at this point I have it basically rolled up as snug as I can get it. I put the dolly on its side, the piece of wood that you use to keep the debris out of the blower. You set right here, kind of on the bottom. It creates a larger foot plate for the bounce house to sit. When I originally roll it tight, I have this ratchet strap and this black strap set out the last couple feet when you kind of roll it up, or you shimmy them through after you have it rolled pretty tight. You then kind of sit on the bounce house a little bit, tighten the straps down. Be careful with the ratchet strap, and put this little cloth or some sort of cloth will come in this bin. Make sure you put that on there so it doesn't damage that. Could probably, I guess if it's tight enough, rip through. There'll be some different straps here at some point, so if this rendition is changed, just use whatever you had when it's set up. But these might be 3-inch straps in the future is what I'm thinking right here and here. Anyways, these two bright orange ones will go around the entire bounce house and the dolly itself. I usually put them, I think so far I've put them kind of between this one and this one, hooked onto this cross member. Up here they might just be free floating, but the idea is get it strapped to the dolly itself, and then you push the dolly this way, and then you'll be able to get it over, and that'll be probably where I take the next video. All right, so I forgot to mention these bright orange straps that go around. I try to keep them in the back because then it will keep the pressure from the buckle off of the bounce house itself. But again, those straps might be changed. You gotta redevise this. Once it's tipped up like this, it's helpful to have two people, so one person on either side, because it gets, I can't remember the overall weight of this, but it's pretty heavy. Also, if you block the tires, then when you're lifting up, you don't start losing some upward lift because it starts rolling out on you. But I'll get it up and then put everything together. Probably take one picture. I gotta fold up the rain tarp, and I'll get everything together.